Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to my channel, The Life of Poon. I truly appreciate it. I truly am thankful for you to even, click on this video. And I hope that you're having an amazing day. And by the title of this video, you already know how it's about to go down. And it's all about toxic relationships. One of the hard truths. Mhm. One of the hard truths is we're all going to get into a toxic relationship at one point in our lifetime. And the reason for that is because when you get into a toxic relationship, it's like you probably won't even know that it's toxic at first. And sometimes you do, because sometimes the signs would tell you that it's toxic, but your mind would be like, will push it away, and you'll doubt your intuition and be like, oh, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Because how many times have us as individuals knew that we shouldn't have did something and did it anyway? We all done it. And that's one thing with toxic relationships that happen. We know that it's not good for us. We know that that person is emotionally bringing us down, but we go back to it. Why? Because of the addiction to it. And let me tell you, the addiction to it is what will keep you coming back. Whether that's the addiction of the makeup sex, whether that's the addiction to the codependency, the addiction to whatever. I'm not even going to get into all the examples because it could be a million and one. But your intuition knows when it's toxic. So why do you go back to it? I'm going to give you a quick story about myself. I know when I entered a toxic relationship, I knew it was, but I didn't want to admit it to myself, all because I wanted love. All because I wanted somebody there, all because of the codependency, all because of I heard stories of people doing it for finance, and it becomes toxic. And but I know personally with me, oh, the makeup sex, baby, it used to be bomb. But anyway, it's just one of those things that we go back to it because there's a certain part in our brains that like it. We may not like the pain, but we sure do like the pleasure that comes with it once we get over the battle or whatever. Because in all honesty, we know when it's toxic, but sometimes we just try to put our feelings aside and put ourselves on a back burner, all because of this fake love that we so-called have for that person. And you know why I call it fake love? Because for the simple fact is, how can you love somebody that continuously brings you pain? You don't love that person. You just are used to that person. You adapted to that person, but you don't truly love that person. Because if that's why one thing with me is, and look, I'm gonna say it. When people get in abusive relationships, that ain't love. It's not. It's just familiarity. I can't even talk. Familiarity. Familiarity. You know what I'm trying to say. It's just a familiar face, and it's just one of those things that you don't have to live like that. You simply don't, because you're cutting yourself off from a great love that could be out there for you, and you're cutting yourself off from enjoying life, because as many times as that person brings you down, and as many times they say they're going to change, to be honest, change is a rough process for all humans. We all sometimes adapt slowly to change, simply because sometimes we don't know how, and sometimes we don't like to look at those deep dark memories that got us to that toxic place in the first place. So it's just one of those things that I know, for myself, when I was in a toxic relationship, I will always say to myself, why am I doing this to me? Where I was crying every day or every other day. And I was, and it was so bad to the point where that relationship was dripping off into other segments of my life. I would go to work pissed. I would go to work mad. As soon as I wake up, mad because I read a text message that my lover sent me the previous night before, and I would get mad and get so yeah. And it's just one of those things that that toxic relationship is eventually going to kill you, to be honest. Because if it don't kill you physically, it's going to kill your insides, to be honest. Yeah. And one thing with me is when I hear stories from women, and women, not all women, but some women have a soft spot, especially when they have kids, because they want their kids to have the perfect family home. I understand, but in the same sentence as for all the women that's watching, your children are watching. For all the men that's watching, your children are watching. So are you teaching them healthy habits to live a loving life? Or are you teaching them this is what a relationship is? Because children don't know. Yet they may know that it's toxic or that it's a bad relationship, but by them seeing that in front of them, they're going to internally think that's okay growing up. They may even, because I know with me, for instance, I'm going to talk about myself. When I saw toxic relationships growing up as a child, I knew it was bad. But then when I grew up and got into one, it was like it clicked in my head where it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I saw. This is what I went through when I was a child. But I didn't know how to change it, all because I didn't want to revisit the past memories in my head. So I went through a toxic relationship and it helped me grow. To be honest, it helped me grow in so many different ways because, yes, it took me to a dark place where everything around me crumbled. But when I finally saw the light and started to walk towards the light of my life and become a better person internally, my world changed. So, in all honesty, it was a bad experience growing up. It was a bad experience of the relationship that I was in. But overall, it blessed me because when I finally looked at my past, when I finally looked at where my present moment was in that relationship, when I finally looked in the mirror and I didn't like what I seen looking back at me, because baby, by that time I probably had like a bruise here, a bruise there, because like we used to battle, but that wasn't cute. It wasn't. Being codependent, it wasn't cute. It wasn't. None of us are here to be codependent. We are all here to be independent and strong. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves, is this relationship helping me grow? Or is this relationship keeping me stuck in the past? And the reason why it's keeping you stuck in the past is because it's trying to get you aware of what's been keeping you in this bad place for a long time. Because you don't just pop up and be in a toxic relationship. No, it don't work like that. Energy, like energy attracts energy. And what I mean by that is like energy attracts. And what I mean by that is if you have this energy, you could be walking along, do, and then boom, you meet your match. That person that may be internally going through the same thing that you're going through, all to wake you both up to see the bigger, brighter picture, which is healing. And that's the reason why you're in a toxic relationship, is to heal. It's time to heal the past and let go of the past, because your past got you to your present moment. And that's just facts. It's just one of those things that also, when I talk about like energy attracts to each other, it's one of those things. When I was in a toxic relationship, I would be like, he's saying all the things that I was saying to myself in my head, where I would call myself all types of names, where I wasn't giving myself the best type of love. And that's the reason why you probably are in a toxic relationship as well, is because you were probably being mean to yourself and not giving yourself the most loving energy. So how do you expect to get a loving energy out of someone else when you forgot about you? When you can't even give yourself a compliment, but you expect somebody else to give you a compliment. And that's where my mind was messed up when I got into my relationship. It was because I was telling myself all these horrible, nasty things of letting the world just beat up on me, and me doing it myself. Instead of being my biggest cheerleader, I let the world beat up on me, and then I beat up on me because the world was beating up on me. And then that energy attracted another energy, and all the internalness that I was feeling manifested into a physical person who did that same exact situation to me. Whew. It's a little high. But I hope you got a little nugget out of this video. I really appreciate you staying to the end to watch this video. Hopefully by the end of this video you will take a look at your past, because the inner child is always looking to be healed. You cannot be fully living as an adult if your inner child is broken. So, until next time, you have a great day, and mwah.